week's drive, we make a two-wheeled dash, have a four-wheeled leap, thunder in the dunes, take a flying jump, and go over and out. All this and more in this week's Drive. "8,000 fans packed the Sheffield Arena to spur on their home favourite, Dougie Lampkin, in the second round of the Indoor Trials Championship. The Briton has dominated the trial scene for 7 years and is a 6 times world champion. But the men of the moment are the Spaniards, Albert Cabestany, the defending champion, and the current leader, Adam Raga. Here, Cabestany performs an awesome balancing act on his rear wheel. Raga, after victory in the first round in Andorra, was hoping for his second win, but ended the night in 3rd place. That was still enough to maintain his overall advantage with 35 points. The trial had a 9-section circuit and the biggest indoor waterfall in Europe, and is the only round that Britain will host this season. The format involves 7 riders, all facing the hazards in the first lap, and then the 4 best riders advancing to the final. Takahisa Fujinami made it through to the final 4, but as in Andorra, the Japanese rider was again off the podium, finishing 4th. He made full use of this dab to score just 1 penalty on this section. Lampkin shone during the evening. After a disappointing year when he conceded the title for the first time in 7 years, Lampkin was penalised only once in the 8 first-round hazards to tie him with defending champion Albert Cabestany and force a head-to-head duel that was to end cruelly for Lampkin. Leading by over a bike's length, he was robbed of his 8th successive victory at the Sheffield event when his bike suffered fuel starvation in the closing few metres, forcing him to ride rather than jump the final obstacle. That handed victory to Cabestany. It's the first time in 7 years that a non-Briton has won the event. 2 runners-up positions in the opening rounds of the championship sees Lampkin on 34 points and in 2nd place, 1 point behind leader Adam Raga, who finished 3rd. Cabestany has 30 points, and the series now moves to Germany. Although hardly featuring on the sporting calendar in New Zealand for years, Speedway is undergoing a renaissance. According to promoter John McCallum, the Red Baron International Series will revive the glory days of Kiwi Speedway.
You definitely need to get something to get the sport back in front of the public, back onto the big stage, like the Western Springs tonight and Saturday, where people haven't seen it for a while. Get the bikes back out in front of the people.
Mitch Shearer also wants to relive the old days with exciting young riders.
Yeah, if we could get some more tracks, motorcycle tracks here in New Zealand up and running, and we know there's a couple of them around, 2 in the North Island, 2 in the South Island, then we can go back to the old league days that we had here and produce the riders, the numbers.
Ronnie Moore, Ivan Major, Barry Briggs and Shearer were global household names until the late 1970s. Speedway's popular in Europe and Australia, where the sport began, but it's waned in New Zealand.
We're expecting some hot competition, especially from the overseas riders. They're going to be out there showing us how it's done, especially Stuart Robson from England and Scotty Fisher from Australia and the Italian boy, Terenzano. So he's out there to show us how they do it in their country.
Hasn't really been that many Kiwis come through in the last few years, you know, so it'd be nice to bring a couple back over to England.
McCullum's dream is that a new breed of Majors, Moores and Briggs will emerge, but only time will tell. But he has set the wheels in motion. To the Dakar Rally now, into the deserts of Tunisia with a cloudless sky and strong winds. Frenchman Richard Saint claims a second stage win on his single-cylinder KTM, increasing his overall lead on a surface he enjoys. Double winner Fabrizio Mioni of Italy in second place, 17 seconds off the leader, with his heavier KTM twin-cylinder bike. The lighter single-cylinder bike is ideal for the conditions, better than the heavier twins which were having problems with tyre wear. Spaniard Nani Roma, also riding a twin, was third overall after the 285-kilometre stage on hard and rocky surfaces. Both Mioni and Roma finished the stage with their rear tyres badly damaged. The car section was marred by a three-car pile-up that saw the Volkswagen buggy of Dieter Depping destroyed after hitting a rock and rolling several times. The crew emerged unscathed before two more vehicles sustained less serious damage.
The Germans in the buggy did a complete roll. I heard a terrible noise and I was worried for the co-pilot who didn't move. The problem with the road book is that this hazard is shown as a small danger, while it was really much more than that.
The day was also a nightmare for French drivers Luc Alphand in his BMW and Nissan's Thierry Dallaverne, who both destroyed their front suspension on the same rock, requiring lengthy stops to make repairs before they could continue. However, both were able to finish the stage. At the front of the pack, the Mitsubishis continued to be in a world of their own. The 2002 rally winner, Hiroshi Masuoka, took advantage of his special stage success to edge further ahead of teammate Stefan Peterhansel of France, as he increased his overall lead to 55 seconds. Peterhansel has won the bike section of the Dakar 6 times, and the teammates are driving brand new purpose-built Pajeros. After a great day, 1997 winner Kenjiro Shinozuka's Nissan jumped 8 places to 3rd, but was still over 8 minutes adrift of the leaders. The Dakar, originally from Paris in France to Dakar in Senegal, is now in its 25th year. Its route is altered, mostly by civil strife or war, and this year the event ends in Sharm el-Sheikh. A unique feature of the Dakar are the racing trucks. Originally simply backup vehicles, they had to be fast to keep up with the racing vehicles over the long stages and developed into their own category. Russian Vladimir Shaguin's truck retained its top spot in the overall standings, taking 2nd place on the stage behind Karel Lepre of the Czech Republic. Johannes de Rooij of the Netherlands claimed 3rd overall. The 6th stage took the competitors on a 278-kilometre run over the Libyan border and was the first pure desert section of the competition. Early indications were that South Africa's Alfie Cox would scarcely threaten after getting stuck on the crest of a dune, despite celebrating his 40th birthday, and attention settled on Mioni, 2nd behind Saint. Mioni could only manage 4th place on the day, but still made up time on the leader. Saint was feeding the weight of his bike in the soft sand. Roma finished the section locked together with the Italian on the same overall time. But Cox had found his rhythm and overtook his teammate Dupre and left the Frenchman behind. Cox went on to take his first stage win in the rally and was pleased with himself. 4th place overall and just 30 seconds behind Saint, Roma and Mioni was a good day's work.
Yeah, very short. I mean, 220 kilometers, and the first 100 kilometers was absolutely wide open. I think we did it in less than 1 hour, and it's very, very big sandy piste. And I just think for the last 70 kilometers, it was a nice dune crossing and really enjoyable today.
Enjoyable wasn't a word used by Jean-Louis Schlesser. After 68 kilometers, the double-class winner was forced out with engine problems. Overnight leader Hiroshi Masuoka had promised to streak away from the field, having driven conservatively by his own standards, but the defending champion was in for a shock. His teammate Stefan Peterhansel outdrove him all the way and turned a 55-second deficit into a 49-second lead by the finish line. However, an even better performance came from Luc Alphand after damaging his BMW the day before. The former Olympic downhill skier leapt from 118th and last place overall to take 7th place on the stage. But Peter Hansel was looking good for his first title on 4 wheels. A puncture for Jean-Pierre Fontenay and Gilles Picard dropped the French pair back to 12th, an hour and 14 minutes behind Peter Hansel, having started in 7th place. Belgian Koen Wouters and Jurgen Dahmen bogged down in the sand close to the second checkpoint. The first marathon section was a 691-kilometre stage in the heart of the Libyan desert, and the motorcycles led the way in the morning. With navigation becoming increasingly difficult, the leading competitors stuck together over the mighty dunes, some as much as 100 metres high. Saint was able to complete the course without pressure in 5 hours and 50 minutes, increasing his lead over Mioni to 1 minute 47 seconds. It was a similar story in the car class, with Peter Hansel maintaining his grip on the lead. The Dakar veteran went even faster, taking under 5 hours 8 minutes to win his 4th stage of the race and take an 11-minute lead over Mitsubishi teammate Hiroshi Masuoka, who could do little apart from hang on and hope for Peter Hansel to make a mistake, but it didn't look likely. The drive of the day came from another former winner, Ari Vatanen of Finland, whose 3rd place in the stage moved him up to 5th place overall. Kenjiro Shinazuka had something of a scare in his Nissan. A tyre exploded right at the finish line, but the 1997 winner still managed to get to 3rd place overall. And error of the day went to Belgian driver Grégoire de Mavius. He lost his way and crossed the line on the first checkpoint in the wrong direction, losing valuable time. South African Dakar rookie Geniel de Villiers stayed in touch with the leaders despite his lack of off-road racing experience. With the leaders in the cars and the bikes tightening their grip, the truck class continued to provide their particular interest. After 6 times winner Karel Lepre rolled his Tatra spectacularly, co-driver Joseph Kalina attempted to explain with some understatement.
We were fast in the first part of the stage. We jumped, but not too hard. And here, just a small jump and the wheel came off. We did about 5 loops, but everything is okay.
Overnight leader Johannes de Rooij also had his troubles as he wrecked 3 suspension mountings after tackling one of the bigger dunes.
We made a jump 5 minutes ago. I heard a big noise and we stopped here.
The lost time put de Rooij back to 7th on the day and 5th overall. Chaguin moved into 2nd place behind Johannes' son Gerhardus, who won a 2nd consecutive stage with a 2-minute 14-second lead. But as the event approached the halfway stage, drama struck Kenjiro Shinazuka, who had kept his Nissan pickup in touch with the Mitsubishis of Masuoka and Peter Hansel. He was injured after completing 373 of the 497 kilometers of the 7th stage between Gat and Saba. 54-year-old Shinazuka, who won this event in 1997, was airlifted away unconscious with what seemed to be serious injuries, but he was later found to be remarkably lightly hurt. Co-driver Thierry Delizotti was able to give an account of the crash.
We went too fast over a succession of smooth dunes, and then we flew over another to land nose first. We rolled over and over. Shinazuka is seriously hurt and on a ventilator. He's been evacuated to Tunis, and from there he'll go to Paris, where he'll be in hospital for further examination.
Elsewhere on the course, overnight leader Peter Hansel was losing time to Masuoka. By the end of the day, Masuoka had halved the Frenchman's overall lead to 6 minutes 39 seconds, taking his 3rd stage win. On 2 wheels, leader Saint was finding the going more difficult. Cox crashed, injured his shoulder and retired. His troubles allowed reigning champ Mioni to pass and turn a 1 minute 47-second deficit into a 34-second lead. However, the Italian could only manage 6th on the stage, Giovanni Sala winning it, with the Frenchmen Jean Brucy and Cyril Dupre taking 2nd and 3rd. Overnight truck section leader de Rooij Jr., who'd taken over the lead from his father 2 days earlier, was himself caught by Chaguin. Collectively, the defending champions struck back in each category, but an 8-minute swing was cut back to a 32-second lead for the Russian trucker after a time penalty. The next day, it was a biker who needed a lift. 131 kilometers into the stage, Nani Roma suffered a serious crash and was taken to a medical center in Saba by helicopter. It was later determined that Roma has a sore back, but no serious injuries. The first man on the scene was Fabrizio Mioni, who launched a distress signal.
After a first check, there is a minor back injury and a minor head trauma. He is well. He isn't in good shape, but he is stable.
His bike looked much the worse for wear too, but it didn't get a chopper ride back to base camp.
It happened in a turn. I was going very fast, more than 140 kilometers per hour, and a big stone in the middle of the road sent me to the side of the road. I rolled and hurt myself.
First to finish the stage in Zillow was Richard Saint, who clocked the best time ahead of Fabrizio Mioni, overtaking the Italian to regain the lead and going 1 minute 10 seconds ahead. Jun Mitsuhashi of Japan finished the stage 10th, 28.5 minutes off the pace, but his Honda was the first bike other than a KTM on the leg. Mioni shows the commitment you need to race the Dakar. Here, Cyril Dupre has left the main track and has to pick his way through some rough terrain to pick up the course. He took 4th on the stage, but stayed 3rd overall. In the car section, the Mitsubishi's overall lead wasn't troubled by Ari Vatanen's victory on the stage. Starting in 68th position, the Flying Finn put in the best time of the 567 kilometers, beating Frenchman Jean-Pierre Fontenay by 7 seconds, with Peter Hansel 3rd, a minute behind. Despite duetting with Masuoka early on, Peter Hansel pulled out 10 minutes on his teammate. Belgian Gregoire de Marviers took 4th on the stage, having hidden in this huge cloud of dust, but kept his 3rd place overall, over an hour behind the Mitsubishis and half an hour ahead of Jutta Kleinschmidt's Volkswagen. In the trucks, it was De Roy Jr.'s turn to claim the stage victory. On very fast tracks, the Dutchman made the most of his powerful DAF truck to beat Kabarov's Kamaz by 6 minutes and Das Avedo's Tatra by over 14 minutes. And, adding to young De Roy's excellent day, his main rival overall, Chaguin, lost precious minutes repairing his truck. In the new overall standings, De Roy leads by over 21 minutes from the Russian. Real tragedy struck midway through the 512-kilometer 10th stage when Bruno Calvi, the French co-driver of a Toyota, died in a crash. The driver, Daniel Nebo, escaped unhurt. Masuoka won the stage in 3 3/4 hours and 3 minutes ahead of Peter Hansel at an average speed of nearly 140 kilometers an hour. Frenchman Jean-Pierre Fontenay brought his Mitsubishi in 10 minutes behind his teammate. Hard on his heels, Mickey Biassion of Italy made it a Mitsubishi team top 4. Showing just how close the racing was, veteran Ari Vatanen brought his Nissan pickup in less than 2 minutes later, and 3 minutes ahead of Jutta Kleinschmidt's Volkswagen, 5th and just 15 minutes behind the leader. Jose Maria Servas's buggy claimed 7th on the stage, but stays 10th overall. Ski champion Luc Alphand had to stop after 40 kilometers and repair the steering of his BMW Turbo Diesel, but his speed has been the revelation of the event. In the motorcycling section, there was a maiden victory for Per Gunnar Lundmark. The Swede finished in 4 hours, 22 minutes and 22 seconds, 3 minutes and 47 seconds ahead of France's Cyril Dupre, who is also second in the standings. Saint kept 11 minutes ahead of Dupre in the overall standings after claiming 3rd place on the stage. Lundmark's stage win moved him to 7th in the event. Chilean rider Carlo de Gavado finished 4th, just 2 seconds behind Saint, and moved up to 6th overall. We'll wrap up the world's toughest marathon rally in next week's episode of Drive. far away from the high-tech world of racing, hundreds of Thai hill tribe villages celebrate the new year with wooden kart racing, a decades-old demolition derby that challenges most modern extreme sports with its thrills, spills and sheer lunacy. Some of the vehicles, built the traditional way, show some influence from Formula One with wings and bodywork, but the steering is by foot and the brakes are rudimentary at best. Go-kart racing is a traditional New Year entertainment in these jungled hills, going back to when the wheeled sleds were used to haul produce on steep hillsides. But this year, for the first time, more than a dozen remote villages came together in a tiny village near Mae Rim, 700 kilometers northwest of Bangkok, to compete against each other, vie for a cash prize and just enjoy themselves. Hurtling down a steep mountain track at 60 kilometers an hour on homemade wooden carts, the annual races are not for the faint of heart. It's about as far removed from mainstream motorsport as you can get, but the spirit of competition is just as fierce. Although sometimes the technology falls a little short, and safety precautions, for both drivers and spectators, are virtually non-existent. With most contestants wearing little more than wool caps and cloth scarves to protect their heads, and careering down a steep track in one-on-one battles, accidents are regular and dramatic, but injuries are remarkably kept to a minimum. The thrill of racing a wheeled vehicle down a hill is universal. It might be called a go-kart, a soapbox or a billy cart, but kids of all ages have been doing it everywhere there's a hill, and probably since the wheel was invented.
We have had this race since our ancestors' days, but it wasn't always a big activity like this. Each village held a race on their own.
Constant crashes and collisions make the race a thrilling and often hilarious spectacle for the 1,000-strong audience, dressed in their elaborate traditional costumes, and a handful of foreign tourists who happened to be in the area at the time. Canadian Matthew Milton was hiking in the area.
These kids are pretty they're just crazy reckless, and we saw one go down, and they were head-to-head, and the guy in the tail, he came in, cut off the other, went right into the culvert, and flipped over completely unharmed.
At the end of the day, over 40 of the 52 karts competing in the downhill dash were virtually destroyed. Win or bust, or both. Montri Panamonchai, a Hmong villager, won the event and collected the 10,000 baht first prize for his team. So whether you race standing up, in tandem, or in the heavyweight brigade, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.